Good afternoon. Welcome to today's licensing subcommittee. Just going to go through the first item of business is the election of chair. I'm going to put myself up as the chair. Is there any objection to that?
No objection.
No objection.
Beautiful. The chair's elected, and that's fantastic. Welcome everyone. I'm Councillor Scott Pater-Harris. Now that this licensing subcommittee are meeting again with members physically present, please be assured that we have put appropriate cleansing and social distancing measures in place to ensure that this meeting is undertaken in a COVID-secure manner. This has included a request for all attendees to have taken a lateral flow test within 48 hours of the meeting, to use the NHS Track and Trace app or the attendee log, 2 metre social distancing, the wearing of masks when not seated, and a one-way system in the Guildhall and a temperature check upon arrival. I'm glad to see that you're all using the green spots in the Guildhall to ensure that everyone is in safe mode from away from other people, which is great, thank you. There is limited public seating that's been made available. However, this meeting is also being webcast to allow the public to observe remotely if so they wish, and I know there's a lot of representations today, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people watching at home as well. The public seating area is not in view of the camera used to webcast this meeting. The people making deputation will not be seen on camera, but what they will say will be live streamed. If the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and public gallery by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts, and please assemble the Queen Victoria statue in front of the civic officers. In order to comply with the Guildhall Trust Fire Marshal regulations, anyone who is signed into the Guildhall reception desk should sign out when leaving the building at the end of today's meeting. Members of the press and public are also permitted to record the meeting on the understanding that it neither disrupts the meeting nor records those who are explicitly stating they do not wish to be recorded, which at this meeting is people making deputations. Also, can please everyone use your microphones when speaking? It's clarity for me because I'm quite hard of hearing, but also it's picked up on the webcast. And also remember to switch them off. We're going to introduce ourselves. As I said, I'm Councillor Scott Pater-Harris. I'm the Vice Chair of the Licensing Committee, and I'm a Hillsey Ward Councillor. I'm going to go round to my left to my colleague.
I'm Councillor Benedict Swan from Copner.
I'm Councillor George Madrick from the Paulsgrove Ward.
Good afternoon, my name is Ben Attrell. I'm a solicitor employed by the Council. I'll be advising the subcommittee this afternoon.
Derek Stone, Principal Licensing Officer.
I'm James Harris. I'm Senior Local Democracy Officer.
Hello, my name is Pete Rackham, Acting Police Sergeant for Hampshire Constabulary. I'm representing the Chief Officer of Police.
I'm John Walsgrove, and I'm the solicitor for the licensee, and to my left is Tom, and sat behind him is his wife Sam Yemen, and my intern for the week, Mr. Norris, who's just here as an observer, and also the area manager from Enterprise Inns, or Stonegate as it is now, is here.
Thank you, Mr. Walsgrove. That's comprehensive review, and it's nice to see that you're training someone. We will not have to see you the whole time every time there's a licensing issue. It's appreciated. It is well, I don't know if it's a compliment or not, to be fair, John. The applicant for the, obviously we're going to go over to the licensing officer who is going to outline the application. Just beforehand, there has been a representation that has been withdrawn, which is Councillor Kirsty Meller. I believe that she's withdrawn her representation for today's meeting, so I just ask the councillors and other parties just to ignore that. I think on Councillor Miller's behalf, I think the best way to put it is it was a good learning experience for her, and I think that she'll be mindful of sending representations to the licensing committee next time. So I'll hand over to you, please, Derek. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members. This hearing is the final part of the summary review hearing for the Duke of Devonshire Public House that was commenced on the 2nd of August 2021, following the Chief Officer of Police formally submitting an application on the grounds that the premises were associated with serious crime or serious disorder, or both. You will recall that this followed 2 incidents at the premises on the 30th and 31st of July, as reported in my report, and you have had full disclosure in relation to them. Therefore, I don't think I need to add to what has already been said and what you've heard. You'll recall that on the 4th of August you held an interim steps hearing, the outcome of which was to suspend the premises licence. On the 5th of August, the premises licence holder and DPS, Mr. Yemen, and his legal representative, Mr. Walsgrove, addressed you seeking a reversal of the suspension and offered up a number of conditions for you to consider in order for the premises to reopen and operate under tighter control measures. One of which was the introduction of 2 SIA door staff on Friday and Saturday evenings. Acting Sergeant Rackham was supportive of this and subject to a joint visit being undertaken by police and your licensing officer on Monday the 9th of August to confirm that all the conditions were in place, the premises were allowed to reopen. A further compliance visit was undertaken on the evening of Friday the 13th of August, and the venue was fully compliant with all these conditions. Members, you'll see at the end of my report the options available to you today and which steps, if any, you may consider appropriate. When determining the summary review application, the committee must have regard to the promotion of the licensing objectives, which, as you know, are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. You must have regard to the Licensing Act, the adopted statement of licensing policy, judgments of the High Court, which your legal advisor can give you guidance on should that become necessary, the current statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary in accordance with Section 182 of the Act, the representations including supporting information presented by all parties, and the human rights of all parties concerned to ensure both a fair and balanced hearing. Members, the Licensing Authority may decide that the review does not require it to take any further steps appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, and you could deal with this merely by issuing an informal warning. However, if you as a Licensing Authority consider that action under your statutory powers is appropriate, you may take any of the following steps. That is to modify the conditions of the premises licence. You could exclude a licence of activity from the scope of the licence. You could remove the designated premises supervisor, for example, because you consider that the problems are the result of poor management. You could suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, or you could revoke the licence. Members, I will leave it there, as you will hear in more detail from Acting Sergeant Rackham and Mr Walgrove, apart from to say that Appendix C in your bundle, there are a number of supportive representations from customers of the Duke of Dev who have expressed in their individual ways what they think of the premises, or what they think of the DPS Tom and his wife, and how they manage the venue. I'll leave it there, thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek. That was a very comprehensive summary. Do we have any questions for the licensing officer? No questions from myself. Is there any questions from yourself, Mr. Walsgrove? No, absolutely not. Okay, thank you for that. That was very, very good. Just going to move on to the next.
No questions from the police?
That's what I'm moving on to.
No questions from the police.
Yeah. Over to yourself now. Acting Sergeant Rackham, I believe. Got it right, didn't I?
Thank you, Councillor. You did get that right. There's not a lot for us to say, ultimately, other than we did have concerns about the premises, and that appears to have been managed through the process that we've been through. The measures that were implemented, and I believe you've got a copy of those conditions, which were imposed at the last meeting that was held, were put in place. A number of visits have occurred, and the premises have been compliant with those conditions, and the feedback that we've had and the police records show that no further incidences of crime and disorder, or serious crime or serious disorder, have emanated from the premises. In our view, that has led to a reduction of risk at the premises from where we were back at the first meeting that was held, and what we would ask and request is that the committee impose the conditions with the slight tweak from Mr Walsgrove that you've got today, place that on the full licence, and the police will be happy that that will in future reduce hugely the risks that we saw.
Thank you, Acting Sergeant Rackham. That's very good. Just on the tweaks, just to clarify, I think that is number 6 on the conditions, isn't it?
That is correct,
That
yes.
is correct, yeah. And that's the scanning equipment. I think that we were waiting for originally to turn up, weren't we, at the last one? Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you for that. That's clarity. Any questions for Acting Sergeant Rackham? No. Move on. Do you have any questions for Acting Sergeant Rackham?
No questions, sir.
Beautiful. We'll move on to yourself, Mr Walsgrove.
Thank you. Obviously, we support the police contention that the conditions or the interim steps you put in place last time, as you heard, were checked on the Monday that the premises reopened, and there haven't been any issues since. And we endorse their recommendation that you now deal with the review by imposing conditions on the licence as set out. the slight tweak to that condition, I'll just explain how that came about. I'm sure you'll appreciate that this whole experience has been a salutary one for the Yemens, and that they have suffered significant financial loss due to it. And on the first weekend they opened, where the scanning is required, a number of their local customers weren't able to come in for a drink because that generation, well, I say that generation, it's my generation, so my generation don't carry around photographic ID, as do the younger generation who are used to it. And the reason that condition was suggested and agreed by us was to overcome the risk of the incident that happened on Saturday, where a group of younger people were involved in that incident. And so to ensure that Tom can continue the business of serving the local community, and you've seen many letters written in by the locals who are using this premises, we've asked that if they don't have photographic ID, Tom will make a call. If they look 40 years or over, then he can admit them, taking their name and address, so he knows who's on the premises. So I would hope this committee would think that was a fair change to allow him to run what he has done for the last 3 years, which is a community pub which the locals use. I would just finally say that you'll see from the letters of representation a number were from women, about just over a third, about 40% of the letters, and many of them have said how safe they feel in the premises. And it's a shame that he has suffered financial loss, and some customers going, and in particular they mentioned to me today that the ladies' darts team have said they probably won't come back to the premises because of what they've read in the Portsmouth news, which is a great shame. But hopefully, Tom, with your support in allowing him to continue trading with these conditions, can build back up what he had in the first place. So I'll leave it there. If you do have any questions, then obviously we can answer them.
No, I think that's an interesting point you make at the end there, Mr. Walsgrove, about the Portsmouth News and the reporting on what they believe to have happened to actually what happened. I think there's an element there where I think the journalists need to realise that, you know, they should probably watch these meetings instead of reading the papers and not watching them. I think there's a complex of that, and that's come out, I think, in the case. And that's, I'm sorry to hear about the darts team. That's unfortunate. The conditions that we're talking about, I think, I'm going to go back to condition 6, because I think it's I've not seen one of these before, so just it's a bit of a different one that I've seen. So anyone over 40 that comes into the pub, that we're going to take their name down and their address, just so we can clarify this.
They'll be asked for photographic ID,
Yeah.
and if they have it, it will be scanned.
Yeah.
If they don't have it, then the door staff will contact Tom or his wife, and they will have a discretion then to allow them to come in without ID, but they will ask for their name and address and record it.
There's going to be a log kept. Just out of interest, how long do you propose to keep the log for?
Well, I think the data's required for 7 days on the scanning device, so it would be kept for the same period of time.
Would you have any objection if I put that into the condition, just so it tidies it up?
I think it does say that in the condition.
It does actually say
It does actually say that, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I think so.
name and address of that customer.
I'm reading that as a scanning equipment, my apologies.
In the logbook, the data from the scan all recorded in the logbook will be
Apologies,
stored
that's fine, yeah. So that just for
days.
clarity, that's what we're doing, what you're proposing, should we say. I don't have any other questions on the conditions. I think they're much broadly what we discussed at the last meeting. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, just one. Obviously, with scanning valid ID, that's fine, because obviously that's verifiable. If you're just taking information, an address, name, etc., how can you be sure that information is not false?
Obviously, we can't be sure, but as this is a local community premises, Mr. Yemen knows most of the people that are coming in, and those that unfortunately he had to turn away because they didn't have ID were people he knew and had been in the pub, you know, for many times. And I think the point is the one that I made earlier, that group of people are not the risk that the police want you to address. It's the younger age group of people he doesn't know. So there's no way of knowing whether people are telling the truth or not. But just to say, obviously, that the record will be taken, that there's CCTV absolutely everywhere, so the police would be able to identify anyone on the premises.
Anything else, Councillor Swan?
No, that's fine. Thank you for that.
Yeah, just on what we're talking about, acceptable ID, because I know that there's various forms of ID. We're talking driving licence and passport, and they're the only two, or is there going to be anything else, particularly like military ID, for example?
Military ID would be acceptable because, again, it's got photograph and date of birth.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, okay. Just want to clarify so we know that what we're going to be looking at for conditions. On the point of the premises, since the premises has reopened, we've had lots of representations come through, which I think have shown a lot of support for the premises. Just by our means on how this happened, was this organic, or did yourselves? I'm looking at the DPS here. Did you ask your regulars to send in representation?
It's obviously been the talk of the premises since it reopened, but they have been unsolicited letters of support. Obviously, the notice is on the door, quite clear for everyone to read, that if you've got something to say, you can email in or write in to the council, and that's what they've done.
I think that's a really good point about writing or emailing in, because quite commonly we'll have a lot of people emailing in, but this is a lot of people putting their name to paper, which is quite a throwback, I would say, to what we're used to. That's why I asked the question, have we had people coming in the pub and, there you go, can you please write something nice about us?
No, and that again shows the age group of the people that are using the premises, frankly.
I was going to come to that point, actually, thank you. I think it's just an interesting point. I thought I'd ask the question because we were well within your rights to do that. But I don't have anything else to add. Does any other members have anything else to add? Do you yourself have something to add, Ben?
Yeah, just a quick point about the wording of condition 5, and I'm sure this is not going to be at all contentious, but just propose a very minor amendment so that supervisor becomes plural, and then we add on duty at the premises on Friday and Saturday evenings, just to clarify. Is that any objection to that?
Do you have any issues with that, Acting Sergeant?
None at all.
No. Any issues with that? You're happy with that?
Members, I think at the hearing on the 5th, you added a little bit onto the training, that the training record will be kept for 12 months. I stand corrected, but I think we added that in at the hearing.
I believe that was, but I'm sure that I can add that again if I feel fit to. And I don't think there'd be an objection to that.
That's probably my fault because obviously we
did
agreed a slight tweak to condition 6, which I then took from the...
Don't worry, Mr. Woolsgrove, you're showing your age in IT. We all accept it.
Well, it's not IT. I just forgot that you changed that condition previously. So, yes, you can change that to 12 months.
We're getting very ageist here today. I apologise. So, do you have any other questions of the applicant? Yeah.
I have nothing further to add, thank you.
Acting Police Sergeant?
I have nothing further, Councillor.
Thank you. Nothing to add? Right, going quite fast today. So I'm going to hand back over to, I think we're into summary now. So would you like to summarise your position as the licensing officer?
Yeah, as I said, I have nothing further to add, thank you.
No. Okay. Acting Police Sergeant?
I think I've covered everything, Councillor. I've got nothing to add.
Thank you.
Likewise, nothing further.
Thank you very much. Okay. So we are going to go into deliberations, so I think we'll close it there. Thank you for your time this afternoon, should I say. And we will be back, I'm looking at the time now, it's 10 to 3, so should we say come back for about 20 past 3? Half past 3? No, we'll say half past 3.
Yes, I think if we say as a minimum. Half past 3, that's 40 minutes to deliberate. Make your decision, formulate your reasons and decision. I think
half past 3 is about right, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. So thank you for your time and I appreciate you coming.